Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to episode 4 of Fallen Rocks. I believe this is episode 4. I just had a birthday the other day, and I'm getting old, so it's possible I am wrong. But if you remember in the last episode, I said that I really did not like those half log supports I had for the village structure that's going around this ride. So what I did at the first part of this episode is create something else, and I just used the basic scaffolding from the adventure pack, which you can see here. I got started on that, and I am much happier with how this turned out. This is much more in line with what I was seeing in my mind for how this structure would look. So once I got it all set up, it was fairly simple to just go ahead and copy and paste it along the path and make it look the way I wanted it to look. So I'm definitely much more pleased with this. I can see going forward with this scaffolding structure around the whole village. I think it's going to look pretty good, especially once I get around the area where the ride is kind of swooping in and out. So I like the way this is looking, even more and more like the Big Bad Wolf. I said before that wasn't something I was anticipating, but that's just part of the creative process. As I was working on the coaster, it's just something that sort of started happening, and I like the way it looks a lot. So we're going to roll with that. And I'm just now adding some rocks and kind of trying to pretty up this hillside a little bit, make it look a little bit more natural. And I meant to mention this the last time. I don't know if I did or not. I can't remember. But one thing that always bothers me is when, and a lot of people do this, and I'm not a geologist, so I don't know for certain if this is the case, but a lot of times I see people put rocks down, and they put all different types of rocks. They put the rocks from all different biomes. And in my mind, I feel like that's just incorrect, because I don't think that you're going to find a bunch of different kind of rocks piled on top of one another. Maybe I'm wrong. Somebody can tell me if I'm wrong. But I generally don't like the way that looks. I don't like when you have different colored rocks, and unless it's somewhat within the same color wheel or spectrum, I guess. So I generally try to keep the rocks pretty similar. That's just an aside there. So, and one other thing I wanted to mention is I'm about to start in just a moment here. I'm going to start coming forward a little on the village. Right now I'm just trying to make like paths and so forth where everything would be. And I'm also now getting ready to continue the river down, and what I have going on here is I'm going to make it go into a cave so that it continues underground. I didn't want to continue it to the left because it would require me to really drop the terrain down a lot, and I didn't want that. So instead, it's going into a cave here. And I did, when I wasn't recording, I added a few little things down there to make it look like it would be a place where people go to get water. I put a little ladder down to the water and so forth. So, and what I'm thinking of doing right here in this section is, since this is a village, I'm trying to think about it, how it would work. So this first building that I established there, I'm thinking of as a sort of storehouse. We added the winch at the end of that long bridge there that allows them to pull up supplies from the ground. Let's say they send out a hunting party or a foraging party or something like that. They can bring their supplies up. And that building there can be something like a storage house where they store their supplies. One other thing that a village would need is some kind of entertainment area. So one of the things I'm thinking of putting right here is some sort of a ball court or something. And what I have in mind is something like the Aztecs had. There was a famous game they played, and forgive me for mangling the pronunciation. I think it was called something like Chottle or something like this, Latchley or something like that. But it was a big ball court, and I don't know the rules of it, obviously, but I'm thinking of putting something like that there. I think it would make an interesting addition, just because it brings more of a sense of reality and purpose to the village. So we'll have that there in that section, and then further along we're going to have the quarters where people actually live and sleep. What you can see here is I started a tunnel. I actually cut out about an hour's worth of work because I worked on this tunnel for a long time. It was all underground, and it just looked like ass. I mean, you can see it looked awful, and to even say it looks like ass is an insult to ass. So I completely redid it. I removed the ground so I could actually see what I was doing, and started redoing it just to try to make it look a little bit better. So it definitely comes out better. I'm still not 100% sold on it. It doesn't look as great as I was hoping it would, but it's underground. I might just leave it as is because this took me quite some time just to work with this, and I'm not sure I want to go back and do it. There's another section where I have to do another underground tunnel, so maybe that one will look a little bit better. But for now, I think this one looks all right. You'll see once I finish it up that it's got walls at least, and they're fairly even, so I might just leave it as is. So one other thing that I am going to be building is above this tunnel, once we put the ground back up there, which we do at the end of this episode, I'm going to make the queue line snake through the village as well. Right now it's just on the ground, and that's just there because, well, for two reasons. Number one, I like to have people in the park while I'm working on it. And number two, because it was just an easy way to put it for right now. So what's going to happen is I'm going to build up the village around this section above this tunnel, and the queue line will actually snake through it, so to give people something to look at while they're waiting in line for the coaster. So I think that's going to look pretty cool. And I'm also going to since I'm thinking of this as a village, and I'm trying to bear in mind what it would actually look like, what is functional in this village, I'm going to have some watchtowers going up the lift hill where I can see they would have scouts and guards just to keep an eye out, because that's the high point of the village, and just to keep an eye out and make sure there's no marauders or anything like that coming towards them. So it's coming along. It's becoming more fleshed out. The more I work on this, the more ideas I get about it. And you may remember in the last episode I talked about just sticking with the project and persevering, because I wasn't 100% feeling this when after I'd finished the coaster. I was at that point where I was like, where am I going to take this? What am I going to do? And just I find the more I work on it, the more ideas I get. So I'm just going along, keep going. And hopefully it turns out well. So we are getting close to this short video. Unfortunately, this is a fairly short video just because a lot of the work I did, I took out of the recording because I thought this is boring. Nobody wants to watch this. So I tried to only include where I made some actual progress. So I'm going to close with some cinematics, and then I guess I will see you next time. So enjoy the ride.